Welcome to This Is My Story, a podcast dedicated to sharing your story and how God has helped you take next steps in your journey of faith. I'm your host, Austin Carrick, and let's dive into today's story. Well, welcome to the season finale of This Is My Story, a podcast brought to you by Victory Church. I'm your host, Austin, and I am so excited to be here with some dear friends, Sean and Kelly Green of Behold the Beloved. Incredible band. Check them out wherever you listen to music, Spotify, Apple Music. They are so good. They released an acoustic EP this summer of some of their songs, and it's just been so incredible getting to know them, getting to see them live. If you ever get the chance, make sure you do. It's such an incredible honor to know you guys. And we're going to talk about their journey and just what the Lord's been doing in their lives, what it was like for Sean starting out in worship music and working into Behold the Beloved. But no, it's so good to have you guys. Thank you for being here. It's such an honor to be here.
Oh, thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Thanks for having us.
This is going to be great. Super excited about this one. So we're going to start at the beginning of the journey. So Sean and Kelly, where did you guys meet? How did this happen? Were you in a band at that point? What was Kelly into the rocker type? Was that what it was?
That's the only reason she married me. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
No, we met back. It would be one of those like church youth group kind of things. Is
Okay.
where we met, and I was already doing worship for our youth back then. So, it wasn't like rock at that point. But yeah, we just met each other through that.
Very like 2000s worship vibe. Is that what it was?
Yeah, man. Like
2006, we met.
some like Sanctus Real and all these. But
There we go.
Cutlass.
Anyway, yeah, doing a lot of worship there, and so we met. I was actually her driver to get to a church. Yeah. I drove her and her boyfriend to youth
No.
for a while. Yeah.
Wow.
I love it. I love it. This is so good.
I guess since we're being real.
No, it was good, and yeah, that's like I said. I think that's why she married me. She's like looked on the stage. She's like, and that's a man who just likes to worship him.
Yeah.
I need that. I want that.
That's so good.
Put a ring on it. No.
I love it. So, Sean, you are a very multi-instrument person. You can do many things. Very talented. At that point, what were you doing? What was your spot in the band?
Acoustic, strictly acoustic. Yeah, it was basically a worship at a church youth group Sunday mornings, and then I outsourced myself a little bit to some local churches. I would play drums for some churches that needed a drummer or bass or acoustic, but more so it was acoustic and leading songs. And yeah, I just came to a point where like I want to do this more than just a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of was a segue into, getting into an actual band scene, I guess
Sure.
you want to say, in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had this passion for worship. Was that always something in your life? Like, did you experience that as a child, or is that something that kind of developed as you got older?
No, it was definitely something developed because I had a lot of time on my hands, and
Yeah.
I just could never find what I was good at. And I've gone through a lot of things in life, and trying to be good at something, I always wanted to be viewed as someone that has worth. And so that was my walk in my life, like always trying to want people to look at me and like I'm worthy of something. I could never find that thing until obviously I found Christ and I found this church, and I found this youth group. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to go with music. And something about worship music just touched me. And this is the closest I feel to God, and to that, I feel like just the cloud that he puts me on is like, everything is fine. And I know that he has me, and I know what, my worth is. And I just wanted more of that, and I wanted other people to experience that as well. So that's why I wanted to get into like leading worship and learning an instrument and being able to do all that.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. So, Kelly, your perspective of this story then. He's driving you to youth group with your boyfriend. Your perspective then, what was that like, just seeing somebody who had that passion for worship at that point? And obviously, I know where this story ends up then and where you are in this story. But at that time, was that anything that you ever saw? You were like, you know what? I could see my life with this fine young man and being a part of this. And just, did you have any aspirations of anything that the Lord was going to do in your life? Or were you kind of just like, I'm a young girl and living my life?
Yeah, so Sean and I were friends, through the youth group and everything. And, he would pick me up and do all the things that he had mentioned before. But yeah, I guess just we became closer as friends, and then we started dating. And then that's really when I saw the potential that he had with music. And it's just such a gift that he has been, that God has given him, basically. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool that you were able to be there from the beginning with all this too then.
Yeah.
All right, so you're doing church worship, you're playing drums. What's the first band, quote unquote? What's that first step then?
So I got with a couple of people from the church I was at that I saw like that has some incredible talent. And I said, let's make a worship band that we can go to local churches and play on weekend nights or whatever and outsource ourselves. So we made a band called Obsession and did worship shows, and Kelly would come along to those, and we worked together and leading worship and praying for people and just doing all that kind of stuff. So that was a cool foot in the door. I mean, it wasn't like busy or anything, but it was just a cool experience, and I feel like God used that to teach me some things. Worship on a Sunday morning is completely different. I mean, like doing stuff like this, there's always a business side. I mean, church and everything else, there's always a business side to something. So I got to learn a little bit about that, and just learn how to like get in the grind and work hard. So we go from Obsession, then I have an opportunity to play drums for audition for drums for this band called Beyond a Call, and I really felt like God was just saying that go do that. Like there was something about it, and I don't know how they got my information. I never outsourced myself as a drummer. I tried out for that, got it. We did a youth conference. The band was disbarring. Is that the right word? Disbanding.
On hiatus.
A band disbanding. So this was their last show. And we did that weekend, and me and then some of the other guys really felt called to like, we need to keep doing this, but let's revamp it. And then that's how Behold the Beloved was born. So during that year, I did a year playing drums for Behold the Beloved. And in that year, I left my job because I felt God calling me to music full time.
Wow.
So
what a leap of faith.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was.
What was that like then, Kelly? You're married at this point. Where were you in that? Sean saying, hey, I feel the Lord calling me to this, to essentially quit my job to pursue this. Like, what was that like for you as a spouse in that scenario?
Yeah, it definitely was a leap of faith. But again, just kind of going back to seeing Sean and how God just really gave him this gift, and he worked really hard at it. And I was like, you know what? Why not? We're just going to trust him. And I can say, and maybe you remember this, like we always had our bills paid. We never went without. God was always faithful in those seasons because we took that step of faith. And those were some really special times in our journey together.
It might have been like some of it was like sometimes the last hour, like the last day or whatever, and things would come through. That it come out of nowhere.
Awesome.
And it was difficult, but it was a time of learning and growing and knowing that finances are just finances, and God can provide no matter what. So I only did that for a year, but it was definitely what I see. What we're doing now, definitely, it was God saying like, if you just trust me with dollar amounts mean nothing to me. Like I will take care of you if you just walk in what I have for you.
Were you newlyweds at that point, or pretty couple years?
We were married a few years at that point.
Yeah, a few years.
I'm terrible at timelines. I'm like,
okay.
She's like, a couple years.
Because no matter what, it's a huge leap, but especially being married just a few years or a couple years even, like just that faith to have in the Lord and being able to put that trust in him. That's incredible. All right, so Behold the Beloved starting up. You are drumming for this band at this point, or?
I drummed for 1 year,
Okay.
1 year, and the lead singer stepped down. And again, same thing. Me and one of the guitarists said, we really feel like God has something for this, so let's keep moving forward. So I actually then stepped forward as the lead. Yeah.
Wow. So Kelly, where are you in this picture right now? What are you feeling? Are you as involved now as you are now in the band? What was your experience at this point like?
So we had just come through that season of him being full-time music ministry. And so whenever he stepped forward, I just, again, really felt like, this was the right step for us. And always supported him, always encouraged him. there was just never a doubt in my mind that this was not what he was supposed to be doing. So
That's awesome
it was
to have
really
that
cool.
Peace and assurance.
Yes. It was really cool to see him go from drums to singing lead. Even though you were singing, he would do some harmonies on drums as well, but not quite the same as being the main voice.
Yeah.
So
as the wife of a rocker, was it more, were you more like, ooh, the drummer, or is it now like, ooh, the singer?
Well, they weren't really rock at that point.
Okay.
I mean, right?
Still
is that,
worship,
we're
still
like,
more
is that
worship
fair to
tone.
say?
Loud
Yeah.
worship tone, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's fair to say, because you definitely did more
I mean,
like
this is
youth
10 years ago.
groups.
Yeah.
10 years
Yeah.
ago. So worship that you experience now
Wow.
to worship that you experienced 10
10
years ago is
yeah.
definitely different.
Yes.
Very much.
Very different.
Very
yes.
different. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, no, that's awesome. So really trusting in God in all of that. What was next then? So you start lead singing for the band and the group. The music tone is starting to shift. So what was that like? Is that something that you were like praying about? You were like, Lord, do you want us to take this a different direction? Was it something that just felt natural? What was that transition like?
It was definitely, and looking back now, it is one of those moments where you see that you need to move out of the way. And you see that your plan is sometimes, even if it's in good intentions, is not God's plan. And so that took, I think, a couple years for us to realize, like when I stepped forward, I was like, I'm going to work hard and we're going to really build this as a ministry and we're going to do some great things God has called us to. And our vision as a band, my vision was, hey, we're going to go to youth groups and we're going to go to Sunday morning services. We're going to go to churches. We're going to lead worship for them. And we were really playing one show like every 2 months, and which is fine, but we just felt like there was more, and we slowly started to realize, I don't think this is what God had in store for this band. Like I feel like this is what we have in store, like what our thoughts were, but He has so much more. And it wasn't until you meet certain people, and God put certain people in our path to kind of like get our eyes and be like, no, this is what I have for you, and gave us ideas. And we just started writing music, meeting the right people to put us in the right areas, and new paths were formed.
Wow.
WJTL and John Stafiri played a huge part in our lives and our careers, and just setting us on a path to be like, you know, you guys have so much potential and God's doing so many things. Here's a door for you. And that was God giving a door to us using other people. And we've since then gone through every door that God has opened for us, and we've found our sound and we have fun with it. And we learned that our purpose is not only just to go to youth groups, but to go to any venue or whatever and reach people who know who He is and people who don't, and people who are struggling, and do it in a, louder, rockier,
and you get that.
Yeah,
you get that opportunity in something that's more of a rock worship, because you have somebody who may not go to a Hillsong show or like a event that they're singing at or something like that, but like you have this incredible opportunity to reach people in just a different space, like somebody who might not typically go to a church, might not go to this, but you can meet them at a park, you can meet them in certain spaces playing, which has been such a cool opportunity to see around the county, and just see you guys doing that and stepping into those opportunities. And like, what a testimony of putting something in a box. You're like, this is my vision, like we're going to play at youth groups, and like knowing that you guys have played at festivals with large bands like the Skillets of the world, like these bands that you've now done shows with, you've headlined your own festivals, you've done these incredible things, these incredible tours, and like, where would your life be if you were still playing at youth groups, and just like the plans God had for your life rather than what you had for your life? It's so much better every single time. That's so incredible. So where are you guys at now? What is the band like? What is Kelly's dynamic then in the band as well? What is that looking like?
Well, Kelly got a raise. Not financially, but
a title.
A title. Yeah, we Kelly throughout the years of the band, like we've been together for 10 years, and in the past 8, really has just like caught the vision. She's seen the work that God's doing, and every time she wants to be a part of it. So we were like, hey, can you do merch? So she started as merch. And she loved it to the point where like, well, I want to be there for merch. Even if you don't need it, I want to be there because I'm meeting so many great people and I get to talk to so many people. And sometimes our line gets long for people to meet us, and Kelly is then a next, like a person to talk to. And what we did, so we're like, you are now the assistant to the regional manager.
Yes.
I mean, essentially, yes.
She is now our manager, and she is like on the front line of this ministry. Like she talks to the venues first. She talks to everybody first on the phone, through email. Anybody that wants to reach out to us and bring us in, she always wants a phone call first. What is the vision of your ministry, or why are you doing your event, so we can partner with you and help you the best that we can and serve you the best we can. But then we came across an opportunity where, and I'll let you tell this, but there was so many women always coming up to the merch table and talking with Kelly that were like, there's something here. And I'll let you share, like, because Kelly has a huge gift from the day that I met her, that she wants to be, she's like one of the best friends you can have. And she loves speaking to people's lives. And throughout the years, it's like, well, where can you use that the best of your abilities? And I feel like she's just thriving in it right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And one thing I love, I do want to hear that part of the story. One thing I love that you said in that, though, was this ministry opportunity that you guys are in. Like, you have that perspective of, this is a opportunity to reach people. It's not, this is our band organization. Like, this is a ministry opportunity that you guys have. Like, what a beautiful perspective you have. So, Kelly, tell us about that. Like, what has that been like, just making those personal connections, and what have you done with that then?
Yeah, it's been really amazing. Just, I don't know, every time we talk about it, just where we started and where God has taken us.
Surreal.
It really is. And I don't think I'll ever get tired of talking about that. But yeah, so My Beloved, which is the branch of Behold the Beloved, was birthed. It started last summer. And we just had a ton of women coming up to the table. I'm praying with them, talking with them. I'm keeping in contact with them outside of the shows, saying, any way that I can support them in that way. Now, some of them are local, but most of them are not. And so we just really wanted to offer something else and give them community. And a lot of these women go to the same shows. They see each other. They're friends. And so what a cool way to make a women's ministry a branch off of Behold the Beloved.
Yeah.
So
that's so incredible, especially in that like rock scene too. Like, I feel like I've never heard of anything like that, like within that space. Like, there's like, I don't know, I feel like you would see that more in a guy's community, but that you're offering that, because you're right, there are so many women that are also into that genre and into that. So you're giving them this space now to connect with each other. And that's so beautiful. Yeah. What has that been like for you then, leading that? Like, how have you felt through this?
I've really felt like, way back whenever I would encourage Sean and support him, I knew, what I was supposed to be doing. I just never really found the right avenue to do that. Yeah. And so I really, with My Beloved, that is kind of where my niche is. And it's been really, it's just been really neat to see and make those connections with the women. And it's been a little stretching for me because when you're growing a ministry, you don't get things right all of the time. And so there's definitely those teaching moments. And, but we started our first book study last year. We did a retreat in the fall, and we are on our second book study, and we're doing a retreat in November. And I have 12 women coming to that retreat, which is awesome. Incredible. Yeah. Some that I know, some that I do not know. So it's been really cool to see how God has been working in that way. And just bringing the people that need to be in that community.
That's so cool. So obviously, to listen to the music, they can find you guys, Behold the Beloved, on, like I said, Apple Music, Spotify, wherever you listen to music. Where can they get more information about My Beloved and about the band in general?
Yeah, if you go to our website, beholdthebelovedmusic.com, and all our information there as far as scheduling, our tours, music, merchandise. We have a My Beloved tab, so it'll let you know kind of like how it's birthed, what they're doing currently, and you can always find there's My Beloved Facebook as well too. So yeah, check them both out.
Oh, that's awesome. So there's a Facebook community for My Beloved then, for people to interact, for ladies to interact then.
There is, and there's actually a prayer group as well that is just strictly for the women to join. It's private. Anything that is shared in there is kept in there, and so we just put it in there to pray over. And actually, Sean and I have some prayer boards at our house that anytime that we meet people on the road, we write it down and we pray over it as a couple and as a band.
Oh,
so
that's
it's really,
awesome.
really important to us.
I love that. That's incredible. So what's next? What's the next adventure for Behold the Beloved?
Oh man. I mean, it's kind of like we will say it forever and ever. It's surreal, the things that we get to go to and do, Germany, all these other things that we've been a part of. But right now, at this moment, we are headed to Nashville to record our third record with some pretty awesome people.
Heard it here first, the exclusive, the leak.
And then, it's, Christmas vacation and stuff like that. But we don't really vacate. We take the time that we know we don't really have shows around December, so we actually continue writing. So we'll record some in Nashville, come back, keep recording, keep writing, and gearing up for 2024.
No, that's so exciting. That's awesome. Do you guys have any last things you want to share with our listeners today?
I would say the key thing, and that we touch on it, is like always rely on what God has for you. It doesn't matter what your plans are. Sometimes your plans are good. Sometimes your plans might not be, coming to fruition like you thought it would be. But God always has a plan for you, and it's going to be so much bigger and greater than what you think you can have for yourself. So just lean into Him and trust that, eventually He will open the door for it to start. And it might not be on your timing, but the door will open, and when you walk through it, it will be something you never thought you could do on your own. So.
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys for taking some time out of your very busy schedules. I know this time of year, especially, there's a lot of tours and things going on. So thank you for taking that time and being here with us today. And to our listeners, thank you for listening this season. This episode will conclude our season 1 of This Is My Story. It's been such an incredible time just walking through these stories with you guys and just what the Lord is doing just in everyday people, which is so incredible. So for the last time of the season, have a good time. Be blessed. Thank you for joining us on this episode of This Is My Story. Hearing these incredible accounts of God's work in our lives reminds us of the enduring power of faith. If you've been moved by these stories, don't forget to subscribe on your preferred podcast platform and on YouTube. And don't forget to share the inspiration with others who might need it. This Is My Story is recorded at Victory Church in the heart of Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. You can learn more about This Is My Story and Victory Church in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and be blessed.